Welcome. In this video, we're going to go through query variable feature in the Brobench query editor. Salesforce supports query variables when you are authoring SOCL only in the context of an Apex. So if you write an Apex code, either a trigger or a class or what have you, then you can use the query variables. However, it doesn't support including those query variables when you are running the SOCL from outside of a Salesforce context. So however, as part of the Brobench, we have built a query processing that will actually pre-process those query variables and substitute the values, and then we send that final process query to Salesforce for execution. So we can get the benefit of the both world. Okay. So to use a query variable, it is exactly same way as you would use in Apex. So you specify the query, and then with the name prefix by the colon and then variable name, and then when you execute, the Brobench will pop up to enter the values, and then it substitute the values, and then it will send the query for Salesforce for execution. For example, so let's go and get list of accounts. So where the name is equals to account name. Okay, so I know account in one, and then I have previously entered, so it's going to show up. I'm entering the name and execute. So now it shows the account record for that particular the name that you entered. Of course, you can enter different name. For example, let's go and get a different name, Gene Point. So if I go run this again with a different name, Gene Point, so the same query with the different values, you can see that that it substitutes and return that particular record. Okay. Specifying the query variable is the same as Apex, that you put a colon and then the variable name. The variable name can contain dots in them. For example, you can say account dot name. Okay, so instead of just the account name, and then when you execute, of course, you can enter the new variable value, and then it will execute in the same way. Okay. Um, you can specify multiple variables per execution. For example, let's say account name 1 or name is equals to account name 2, for example, let's say. Then we can enter two different names. Let's say Dublin City, and then Gene Point. So we can enter two values and execute. It will show two different records because substituted them two different times. Okay. You can use variable to substitute for any of those the scalar variables like equals, not equals, like, and all that. And you can also use the query variables in the in class. For example, let's say in the account in, and then let's say the names. When you run, it will show the text area where you can enter different values for the in class as a new line variable. So you can look at this particular help, how to enter the value, and then also you can look at this particular stats that tells you how many lines of input you have entered. So if you enter all of these values and execute, of course it's going to run them and then show the results. You can right click on the query, go to the actions and click on view executed query. So this will show actual query that got executed or the sent to Salesforce for execution. So in this case, we substituted all the wildcard variables, and then the name is in two different values that we entered. So when you can enter, as you can see that we substituted all the values, we constructed a single query, and then we entered. So let's say that we have, for example, let's go get all the account IDs so that we have a little bit of more data to work with. Let's say that we have this is not a lot of data, but assume that we had 10,000 IDs. So when you enter all of them like that, and let's say you enter 10,000 IDs, you can enter as many times as you want. So hopefully, so it's gonna give an error because it exceeds the number of characters that we can substitute within a particular query. So that is where the paginated query comes into the picture. So if you can go to the Exinate, it remembered all the values that we entered,